Hello, everyone. We'll give everybody a few minutes to join, and we'll start the webinar in a little bit. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday. Okay, I think we'll start in a minute here. We have a jam-packed program, and we're really excited to share with all of you guys. So, good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar this Sunday. Just a little housekeeping. Feel free to put any questions you have in the Q&A during the presentation. We will also take raise hands at the end of the presentation. No questions on individual claims, please. Please raise your hand and mute when you're asked. All right, thank you. All right, so it's been exactly 8 months to the day since we all left our homes. It's been a learning lesson none of us has asked for. Just think about all the acronyms that we've learned in the last 8 months. And then we're going to learn more during this presentation. Who are we? We're Team Palisades. I'm May Song, Carrie Weaver, and Daphne Bonich. We're all from Team Palisades. And we are here. We're all neighbors, helping neighbors, sharing resources and trusted updates, building community one block at a time. We hope you'll join us. We have a lot of great activities coming up. So later this afternoon, if you want to play bocce, there's a bocce opening day party at the Veterans Garden in our town park. There's also a Team Palisades Makers Night on Tuesday at the Rediscovery Center. And this one I'm the most excited about. There's a building products fair, Rebuilding with Resilience. We're going to be introducing a lot of resilience building products. There's a lot of vendors there, such as Home Depot, TimberTech, James Hardie panels, and then also AIA LA will be there with an Ask an Architect table. LADWP will also be there talking about their Home LA rebate program for going all electric. SBA will be there talking about their mitigation loan program. And then we have a lot of exciting vendors, or just come to the Pacific Design Center and connect with us. And then, see check out what's all the exciting program they have for the day for the fall market. Then after this webinar today, we also have two upcoming webinars for resilient homes and community. The next one will be on September 22nd. That's on Monday, 5 to 6 p.m. We're going to be learning from Santa Rosa and Fire Safe Marin. And then the next one will be October 6th. There will be a presentation from Mercury Insurance, IBHS, Resiliency Co. And also landscape architect Pat Benner will be presenting 4 schemes that she has designed for the alphabet streets in the Palisades using Zone Zero principles. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you all to Carole Hirahara-Acosta. Carole is the Vice President of Risk Management and Risk Advisor at Marsh McLennan Agency. She will, you know what? I'm just going to have Carole introduce herself. So take it away, Carole.
Okay, thanks, May. Hi, I'm Carole Hirahara-Acosta, and I'm based out of Culver City, California. My territory is the West Coast as well as the Mountain States. I have joined Marsh back in May, but I was on the carrier side for about 10 years doing wildfire mitigation as well as other risk loss mitigation. So I'm really happy to be here and to serve your community, to share what we know about resiliency. So I'll go ahead and start. Okay, share my screen. Okay, oh, can everyone see anything, or let me hold on for one sec. I think I need to share the right screen.
No, Carol, we could see your screen. You probably just need to, you need to go off full screen so you could see both.
Oh, I see. Okay, did you
Yeah.
see the PowerPoint
Yeah, we
cover?
did see that. Yeah.
Okay, so you see okay, got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had too many screens open at one time.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So here, thank you so much for the introduction and to let us in on Team Palisades. Um, Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to start off by heartfeltly acknowledging the profound loss and heartbreak that so many have endured. The wildfires in the Palisades and Altadena this past January were more than just a devastation. They tore through communities, displacing families, destroying homes, and shattering the sense of safety we all hold dearly. It's a stark reminder of how quickly life can change and how important it is to come together at times of crisis. This image is difficult to look at, as it should be. It's a stark reminder of the risks we face, that we truly, and what's truly at stake. Besides the challenges, it also marks the beginning of something powerful, which is resilience. It's to call, it's a call to stand stronger. It's about rebuilding confidence, reclaiming peace of mind, and reclaiming what it means to live safely in a fire-prone area. In this title, Resilient Homes and Communities, we now have the knowledge, the tools, and the opportunity to build smarter, stronger, and safer than before. Together, we can take communities not just to survive wildfires, but be prepared and ultimately more secure. Wildfires are going to continue to happen more often, and we're here to rebuild communities of Pacific Palisades and Altadena and other areas in the future. Let's move forward to explore and what we can achieve together. In this slide, we're going to cover construction options, home hardening, defensible space, home beyond hardening, smart interior protection, surge protection, earthquake protection essentials, and winter risk mitigation. Let's start with traditional wood frame. Our primary focus is to emphasize on structural integrity and resilience. By understanding these differences, homeowners can make informed decisions about the most suitable construction methods for their specific needs. It's also important to consider factors such as climate, budget, and intended use when selecting the right construction approach. This overview aims to guide you in evaluating the best practices in construction. To help compare, this table highlights various wood frame construction types and their levels of resilience to wildfire, earthquakes, and floods. So starting with wood siding over wood frame, this scores very low for wildfire resilience due to the material being highly combustible, ignites easily from embers. Its earthquake resilience scored moderate for its flexibility. It's susceptible to structural damage. Flood resilience scores low as it easily absorbs water, warps, causing structural failure, and promotes mold and rot. Vinyl and synthetic materials scores very low to low. as a material melts or warps from heat, regardless of the material if it's been treated. It will melt and warp, exposing sheathing. Earthquake scores moderate as it's light and flexible. Flood scores low as it's prone to water intrusion and warping. Stucco scores moderate as it creates a good barrier, but the underlying wood is still at risk as it's highly combustible. Earthquake scores moderate due to the vulnerability of cracking in seismic activity. Flood scores low to moderate as the material absorbs water in any cracks that can allow water intrusion. Fiber cement scores moderate. The material is fire resistant and ember resistant. However, wood framing is still highly combustible. Any wood exposure, such as decorative rafters, any passive air intake vents that are not flame ember resistant, such as brine guard or Vulcan vents, something that we'll discuss further in this PowerPoint. Embers can enter into those vents, and the wood frame within the structure can ignite. As for earthquake, it scores moderate to high with its durability and flexibility with proper fastening. And for flood, it scores moderate. The material resists water damage, but the joints are vulnerable as the water can still absorb into the wood frame and degrade, warp, and grow mold. Brick stone veneer construction scores low to moderate. Cladding protects, but wood framing is still combustible. Earthquake scores moderate because its heavy veneer can delaminate in seismic activity. For flood, the score is low to moderate as water can enter behind the veneer if not flashed properly. Metal siding, which is aluminum or steel. Construction scores moderate to high due to its non-combustible material. It resists ember and radiant heat. For earthquake, it scores high as it's lightweight and flexible. Excellent seismic performance. For flood, it scores moderate to high as it does not absorb water or degrade. However, there is still wood frame underneath, causing the same issues like mold and warping. Last, solid stone scores very high for wildfire resilience as it's fully fire resistive with no ignition risk. However, for earthquakes, it's low due to its heavy material, and they can become brittle over time. And poor earthquake, unless it's completely reinforced. As for flood, it scores moderate to high due to being water resistant. Motor joints may degrade over time that needs to be maintained. We have gone over traditional wood framing, so now let's take a deeper dive to introduce you to the latest modern construction options available. So this overview introduces you to a higher level of resilience building, evaluating the best practices in modern construction. The next three construction types score high in building resilient homes across the board. I'll summarize each briefly. RSG3D constructs homes using a structural concrete insulated panel system, which is known as SCIP, which combine reinforced concrete with expanded polystyrene EPS foam insulation. It is non-combustible and has a fire rating over 2 hours. This system has been tested to withstand a magnitude of 9.0 or greater in earthquakes, featuring reinforced concrete with steel truces for exceptional strength. It is also water resistant and a tightly sealed envelope around the structure. Nilebelt is another manufacturer company that builds with fire-resistant net zero construction system that utilizes fiber reinforced concrete and Class A fire-rated materials. It's engineered for seismic zones and resists for flood water absorption. The living space can be scaled to introduce ADUs and luxury homes. ICF, insulated concrete foams, constructs homes with EPS foam blocks that are dry stacked to form the walls. Then they're filmed with reinforced concrete. However, you do need to add rebarb, especially in earthquake-prone areas, for additional strength. The construction type is non-combustible, has a 4-hour fire rating, and a reinforced core design to withstand magnitudes between 7.0 and 8 or greater. It is also water resistant with material absorption. We want to point out that RSG 3D and Nile Built are proprietary building systems owned and operated by respective companies. In contrast, ICF, insulated concrete foam, is construction technology produced by many different manufacturers under various brand names. While ICF refers to building method itself, there isn't a single company behind it. Multiple manufacturers produce ICF products that contractors can use from. Home hardening, embers catch 90% of structures on fire. And this is something to always remember. Hardening a home describes the process of reducing a home's risk to wildfire by using non-combustible materials, keeping the area around your home free from flammable materials, and maintain a clean zone around your home to minimize the risk of ignition from embers. In the next few slides, we will be taking a closer look at home hardening to provide examples of Class A fire rated materials, including key points listed under home hardening. Showcasing Class A fire-rated materials are commonly used to harden a home against wildfires and other fire hazards. A Class A fire rating indicates that materials offer the highest level of resistance to fire, particularly in terms of flame spread, smoke development, and combustion. Starting with the roof, we highly recommend discussing your options with your contractor to select a fire-resistant material. Acceptable materials such as asphalt shingles shown in these photos, metal standing seam, slate, clay, or concrete tiles, and synthetic wood shake are just a few examples of Class A rated roof materials. Given today's challenges in the insurance market, carriers often are reluctant to underwrite homes with wood shake or shingle roofs. Even if they're pressure treated, I mean, the chemicals that would radiate and fume the area is just so hazardous that you just want to stay away from that. They may offer a more restrictive policy if you do consider a pre-treated roof. More often so, they will decline your business, or they'll put a roof exclusion on your policy or limit the coverage, giving you time to replace the roof. So adding the proper roof that's Class A fire retardant ahead of time is going to be saving you costly headaches in the future. Going to ember-resistant gutter guards, one of the simple yet most overlooked wildfire defenses is right above our heads, our gutters. During a wildfire, embers can travel miles ahead, 1 to 5 to 7 miles, landing on rooftops and collecting debris-filled gutters. When dry leaves or pine needles ignite, flames quickly spread to the roof and to the structure, even bypassing fire-resistant roof materials, as simple as the photos here display. Installing ember-resistant gutter guards, shown on the right on the right photo, transforms a high-risk ignition point into a sealed line of defense. It's a small upgrade with a significant impact, helping to preserve your home and could buy a crucial time when seconds matter most. It reduces, it blocks, it stops, it protects, minimizes, and supports, and it's cost-effective. Recommended by CAL FIRE, IBHS, and the National Fire Protection Administration. I would say always avoid vinyl products. Instead, select fire-resistant materials such as metal, aluminum, copper, steel to unwanted toxins. Hardening the roof edge. The roof edge is one of the most vulnerable parts of the home during a wildfire event. Wind-driven embers can collect under the eaves and overhangs, and that's how most homes catch fire, not from flames, but from embers sneaking in. If the eaves are open, like the picture shown on the upper right, that's a little drastic. I mean, homes don't necessarily have that. It would be mainly covered, but if there's any type of openings within those eaves, It's best to make sure that those eaves are enclosed, so they can't enter, any embers can't enter into the attic space and ignite flammable materials inside, such as the framing, the insulation, especially, and potentially igniting any personal items stored in the attic space, which I've witnessed many times that a lot of homeowners do. So to protect your home, enclose open eaves with fire-resistant materials. Use ember-resistant vents that allow air in but keep the embers and flames out. We'll discuss different vent options as we move along with these slides. Upgrade the fascia boards and trim with fire-resistant materials such as fiber, cement, or metal. These changes can help block embers, slow the spread of fire, and give your home a better chance of survival even in fast-moving fires. Siding choices. The following materials are fire-resistant. Brick or stone veneer, excellent for fire and radiant heat resilience, adds a mass of strong ember protection. Must be installed with non-combustible brackings and seal joints. However, if you remember in earthquake-prone areas, brick or stone veneer should be used in limited capacity as they do not fare well with earthquakes. Concrete, this refers to RSG3D Nile built in ICF, providing non-combustible materials capable of withstanding extreme heat and direct flame exposure. Also resilient to earthquake, floods, and they are very energy efficient. Fiber cement, typically Class A fire rated, made from concrete, sand, and cellulose fibers, resembles wood. So anybody that's thinking about wood framing, consider cement fiber and talk to your contractor about what's the best material out there to install. It resembles wood and traditional siding styles, very durable, rot and insect resistant. Middle siding, extremely durable and low maintenance, reflects radiant heat well, available in modern, corrugated, and industrial styles. Stucco, not EIFS. Please, no EIFS, because a lot of insurance companies are going to say, forget about it, you know? So, and I don't think California does it. I could be wrong. I'm not a contractor, but stucco itself is a fire resistant when properly applied, works best with a 3-coat system over fire rated sheathing. Effective at blocking embers and radiant heat, requires medium maintenance, and siding must be monitored, and cracks should be sealed to prevent ember intrusion. Again, please avoid real wood, even if it's treated. Avoid vinyl siding as it'll melt, or even any type of plastics when it comes to the doors or window frames, and unrated composite wood to avoid unwanted toxins. Now moving on to fortifying your vents. Vents are one of the most common ways homes ignite during wildfires. If you look at any videos on YouTube, you're going to see that vents are the, it's the, it's what embers are so attracted to, because if there's any intake air vents, you know where the air is breathing in, and that's where the embers are mostly attracted to, and that's how they're trapped in those spaces. So, especially in the attic and crawl spaces, embers are small but powerful, and they can slip through any standard vent screen. That's why retrofitting your vents to a flame ember resistant vent is so important. Here are 3 types of vents to introduce to those who may be unaware of these materials. Brand guard vents is one, used as a layered steel baffled system that blocks embers while it still allows normal airflow. Many wildfire rated models also include an intumescent coating that expands under heat to seal off the airflow. So if there's any embers or flame contact to that intumescent coating, that sucker just swells up and it closes off the vents. So there's no embers or flames penetrating into your house. Vulcan vents is another one. Combined ember blocking mesh with a similar intumescent layer designed to react quickly when exposed to fire. Wall defense mesh. Keep in mind that, please note that this mesh is highly recommended, but it doesn't prevent flames from penetrating. Flames will penetrate. So if you have any kind of combustible materials, let's say you had plywood, spare plywood, and you said, oh, honey, I'm just going to keep it on the side of the house. And boom, a fire comes and you forget about that plywood and it's right next to that opening by the crawl space. Any flames that ignites, if you have wildfire defense mesh, it will still penetrate and it'll have contact into your insulation and your framing. So be very mindful of that. When it comes to brine guard and Vulcan vents, that simply prevents anything from penetrating through. This slide is a diagram that I went ahead and put different arrows in different spaces of where vents matter most. It is strongly recommended to retrofit passive air intake vents located in the attic, such as dormer vents, ridge vents, gable vents, and roof vents, box turtle soffits, as well as those under eaves. At the foundation and in the crawl space is very essential as well. Some mechanical vent caps should be considered. However, please consult with your contractor who specializes in these vents or talk to a wildfire specialist to confirm that, or we can refer you to a few companies that we work with. These companies have third-party vendors available to quote and install their products, and this is something that I can provide May. Attached structures. When rebuilding and retrofitting after a wildfire event, it's really important to look beyond just the walls and roof. Many homes are lost because of wooden structures attached to the house that act like fire pathways, carrying flames directly to doors, windows, and eaves. These structures seem small, but they connect fire directly to the main structure, almost like a fuse. Let's look at fences and gates, considering placing at least 5 to 10 feet from the structure with metal or aluminum, masonry, or other fire-resistant fence materials. That creates defensible space around the property. Pergolas, or even overhangs, often overlooked, especially when attached to the siding of the house. Wood is not recommended as it is combustible unless treated by a fire-resistant stain or paint. Fire-resistant materials are highly recommended, such as steel, aluminum, fiberglass, and concrete stone would be much better options. And there are aluminum structures that could look exactly like wood, so it doesn't lose the aesthetic of what you're trying to capture. Fire-rated shades and pergola covers can also be used as shade canopies, often paired with metal frames. Avoid combustible shading such as bamboo mesh and any wood mesh materials. Additionally, if there's vegetation growing on the pergolas that you're thinking about doing, most insurance carriers may require removing it to reduce the fuel load. So that might be a headache for you and another loss of expense by having someone else come out here and remove that and replace it somewhere else. Decks and skirting. Wooden decks are combustible. Embers can collect between the deck boards and underneath. It is recommended to build or replace decks with Class A fire-rated composite, metal, or fiber cement decking. Additionally, if you're considering a raised deck or porch, it's essential to install skirting around the structure with fire-resistant materials such as cement fiber boards, again, metal or stone. Enclosing the raised foundation and leaving no gaps between the boards prevents embers from accumulating underneath, reducing the risk of ignition. By taking these proactive measures, homeowners can significantly enhance their protection against wildfire. Defensible space. Defensible space gives you a fighting chance. It slows down fire, protects first responders, and it makes the difference between survival and a loss. Focus on the first 5 feet around your home. This is where most amber-related ignitions begin. Then work outward through the layers as outlined in this CAL FIRE diagram. So what is defensible space? It is a buffer zone around your home that slows or stops fire spread. It reduces radiant heat and provides firefighters with room to work. And trust me, firefighters have had so many challenges when they have to jump over things or having to break down or tear off certain vegetation, which slows the process of them defending your property. It also helps prevent flames and embers from reaching your house. Defensible space doesn't mean landscaping, meaning no landscaping at all. It just means using the right kind of landscaping, placed and maintained wisely. So let's move on to the next slides, exploring each of these three key zones. Zone 0, as it's outlined here, is the most critical and crucial part to defend. It's the first 5 feet around your home where embers are most likely to ignite. Sometimes that can spread to the structure. In this zone, we want to keep everything completely non-combustible, no wood, no straw, or rubber mulch. Remove dead plants and leaves. Ensure no plants touch the house. Avoid storing firewood near the structure. And do not position flammable furniture close to the walls. Replace any ground material that is flammable with gravel, stone, or other hardscape options, and use fire-resistant siding and trim where possible. Additionally, avoiding planting coniferous vegetation such as cypress, pine, juniper, rosemary, eucalyptus, or any high resin plants within this zone, and these are only samples of species around your home that you shouldn't consider. One more thing to consider in this zone, as mentioned in the prior slide, is about attached structures. Wood structures like decks, pergolas, stairs, and fence that connects directly to the house can catch embers and act like a wick, leading fire straight to your home. Finally, make sure the roof and gutters are clear of debris to prevent ember accumulation. Moving on to Zone 1. Focuses on creating space that slows down fire spread. In this area, the goal is to reduce fuel by spacing out plants and keeping them well trimmed, eliminating ladder fuels that will allow fire to climb from ground up. Here are a few key points to consider within this zone. Avoid, again, wood mulch. And I say that because a lot of landscapers would plant that and you really don't know what they're planting or placing until you get there and you're like, what is this? And then you have your insurance carriers come back and say, NG, that's no good. You need to remove that. So that's another expense loss out of your pocket. And that's something to consider. And trust me, being out in the field for the last 10 years and seeing thousands of homes and meeting thousands of clients, I've had the same complaint by clients like, why didn't you tell us in the first place? So this is why I think it's important that I need to emphasize this to you. Keeping vegetation and combustible materials away from all structures, such as wood, decks, pergolas, trellises, etc. When selecting your landscaping within this zone, avoid species that, again, contain high oils, resins, and waxes, such as pampas grass. It'll just ignite really fast and jump, their embers would jump to another vegetation that would ignite. Juniper shrubs, cypress, eucalyptus, rosemary, again, are just examples, as they burn intense and ignite easily. It's highly recommended to consider low-growing, fire-resistant native plants and even succulents. I know succulents, some people are, eesh, I don't really care about that. But if you look at a lot of the species that they do have really nice ones around. So keeping your landscape well irrigated and open is key. Horizontal spacing between plants and shrubs, it's essential to reduce the chance of flames traveling across your landscape and reaching your home. These guidelines are part of CAL FIRE and the National Fire Protection Administration of Defensible Spaces best practices, designed to help break up fuel continuity, especially on sloped terrains where fire moves more aggressively. There are 3 categories of slope pitches, and a good rule of thumb is as follows. For flat terrain, which means 0 to 20% of slope, fire moves slower and heat intensity is lower. So any low shrubs that you're considering or that you have, make sure anything that's under 2 feet tall, a minimum of 2 to 3 feet apart. Medium shrubs, 2 to 4 feet tall, have at least 4 to 6 feet apart. Tall shrubs, 4 to 6 feet or even taller, 6 to 10 feet apart. Moderate slope, 20 to 40%. Fire moves faster uphill, so spacing must be increased. For low shrubs, a minimum of 4 to 6 feet. So you multiply it by 2, really. Medium, would be 8 to 12 feet apart, and tall would be 12 to 20 feet apart. For steeper slopes, greater than 40%, fire spreads rapidly with intense heat requiring the widest spacing. So we're looking at low shrubs. The minimum should be 6 to 9 feet. Medium should be 12 to 18 feet. Tall should be 18 to 30 feet. Vertical spacing between tree canopies is also important to note. It's another important factor in protecting your home. When shrubs, grasses, and tree branches are too closely vertically together, they can create what it's called a ladder fuel effect, allowing fire to climb from the ground to the shrubs and then into the trees and potentially onto your home's roof and eaves. Once the fire reaches the treetops, which are also known as crown fires, it becomes much more intense and unpredictable, putting homes at greater risks from a total loss, meaning that those tree crowns, those embers, and those flames will jump from one tree crown to another, and just keeps traveling. CAL FIRE and the National and NFPA's best practices, here are some guidelines regarding trees. For 0 to 20% of a slope, you want canopies at least between 10 feet apart, moderate 20 to 40%, 20 feet apart, and steeper slopes greater than 40%, 30 feet between canopies. Tree trimming is also important. It's about shaping and maintaining trees, not just removing them. Proper trimming prevents trees from acting as pathways for fire. When done regularly, it is one of the most simplest and most effective ways to protect your home. Trim, this is our, well, you look it up on the internet as well. Trim mature trees at least 6 feet above ground and younger trees 2 to 4 feet. So then that way you won't end up killing those trees, which you don't want to do. Removing ladder fuels such as low branches or tall grasses to prevent fire from climbing into the trees. Keep grass mowed to a minimum of 4 inches and ensure that it's well irrigated year round. Store firewood at least 30 feet away from any structure and place them on a metal rack. Cover them with a fire-resistant tarp when not in use, or other homes that I've seen have had fire-resistant sheds or even inside their garage that they would stack the firewood. And last, zone 2 focuses on reducing the fuel volume and keep fire low to the ground as it approaches the home. In this zone, you should thin vegetation, mow grasses, and prune lower tree branches, especially on the younger trees where the canopy starts low. Remove dead branches and fallen leaves and space trees to prevent crown-to-crown contact, as I just mentioned. This zone acts as a buffer. It's not about removing all plants, but it's about managing them wisely to reduce the intensity of fire as it nears any structures. So moving on to other than wildfire, but it's also a part of home hardening and defensible space. We are going to go on to understanding what additional layers are very, very important. So while home hardening and defensible space are critical, they don't guarantee a home will survive an intense wildfire. That's where exterior wildfire sprinkler systems come in. They provide an active layer of defense, especially when evacuation orders are in place. Why add an extra layer, such as an exterior fire sprinkler system? Well, let me share a summary of reputable companies we work with and recommend for their services. Frontline Defense, Frontline Wildfire Defense. It is a Wi-Fi cellular connection smart sprinkler system which can be activated remotely via mobile phone. Uses roof-mounted or perimeter nozzles to wet structures and landscape with a long-term fire retardant. Compatible with the home's water supply or backup water tanks. Sends notification and live system status through the app. There's also WaveGuard Wildfire Sprinkler. It offers a commercial-grade perimeter sprinkler system for residential and commercial use. Often gravity-fed and pump-fed options. Gravity-fed and pump-fed options. designed for use with water tanks and fire retardant foams. Sprinkler heads create a wider water curtain over rooftops, decks, and that creates that defensible space. Manual or remote activation depending on configuration. So the key items needed for both would be power, automation, and water. These systems are not replacements for defensible space, but they can significantly improve outcomes and peace of mind when paired with smart mitigation strategies. Smart interior protection. We have gone through the hardening of your home and defensible space. I also want to highlight a few interior systems that can quietly protect your home when you're not there. So looking at the smart interior protection, automatic water shutoff devices. These devices detect and shut off water to prevent flooding. They are especially vulnerable in secondary homes in areas prone to winter pipe bursts. So when it comes to water bugs, there's a difference. Water bugs are directly attached to any water sources like the toilet, under sinks, behind refrigerators, behind the washer and dryers, and they only detect it if water is noted in that area. An automatic water shutoff device is a whole house system that is connected to your main water line. So, for instance, I had a client who asked about the Moen device, the Flow by Moen device, and they had 4 main water lines at their property. So they complained to me and said, well, this unit actually shut everything off and it just kept making these false, assumptions about water leaking when it was actually, the water purification system that was going, or the irrigation system, or whatever was connected. So there's a lot of different systems out there like Flow Logic, Leak Defense, Plume, and all these other uh, automatic water shutoff devices. So contacting the right company, and we can provide May with that information on services that actually go out to your property, that they inspect your plumbing system, and they will make the right recommendations for your water supply to make sure that everything is covered, where you're not going to get false alarms on your phone, which can be a big headache. Residential fire sprinklers. If your home is several miles away from a fire department and your building code requires an interior sprinkler system, especially new builds, you're going to have a sprinkler system installed. We want to inform you about an alternative choice versus traditional sprinkler system. Plumus is a revolutionary sprinkler system that offers several advantages over conventional systems that you're familiar with. The first advantage is that it's a dry pipe system. There is no water in the pipes until it's activated. In contrast, traditional systems have water in the pipes 24/7, 365 days a year. In most rooms, you'll only need a single sprinkler head on the wall rather than multiple sprinkler heads on the ceiling. This system uses infrared technology that scans the room 180 degrees, identifying the heat source. It can spray 20 feet or more across the room. So typically only one sprinkler head or one sprinkler device is necessary per room. Additionally, the system uses 90% less water than traditional systems, meaning significantly less water damage if a fire occurs. It activates 2 to 3 times faster than conventional systems, often extinguishing fire before it spreads. Given the insurance industry's focus on water damage and the push for automatic water shutoff devices, this system is likely to be viewed as a superior long-term solution for homes due to the lower risk of water damage. This represents the most significant advancement in sprinkler technology in over 100 years. Central monitoring alarm systems. Having or installing a fire, burglar, or sprinkler flow alarm connected to a 24/7 monitoring system ensures to help dispatch first responders faster. These systems are highly recommended by most insurance carriers. Always consult with your insurance agent to understand your carrier's specific requirements. These systems do not replace defensible space or vents, but they add an extra layer of protection to create resilience, protecting your home. Surge protection. Let's quickly talk about surge protection and how it can help you during power outage events, brownouts, or dirty power coming in from the streets. When utilities shut off power for safety reasons, such as during a public safety power shutoff, and then restore it, your home can experience a sudden spike in voltage called re-energization surge. This surge can damage your appliances, electronics, HVAC systems, solar systems, or even cause electrical fires. We recommend installing a whole house surge protector at your main electrical panel. It acts like a shield protecting your entire home. If you have a backup generator or considering to installing one, surge protection becomes even more important. It prevents voltage spikes that could occur when the generator is connected, ensuring that it doesn't accidentally send a surge through your system when the power is restored. There's a small investment, but it adds a powerful layer of protection and peace of mind. Moving on to earthquake protection essentials. In California, preparing for earthquakes is just as important as preparing for a wildfire. The good news is that there are a few simple upgrades that can dramatically reduce the damage and risk of your home. Let's go into the next slide and talk about earthquake resilience. Foundation retrofitting with anchor bolts and plates can help the structure of your home in place during an earthquake. It prevents the home from shifting and collapsing. Water heaters. Strapping the water heater is required by code in newer homes here in California. Double strapping the water heater securely to the wall prevents it from tipping over and bursting, which can cause flooding. It can also help prevent gas leaks and potential fires. Automatic seismic shutoff valves. If an earthquake occurs, this device automatically turns off your gas to prevent leaks or explosions. It's a small one-time upgrade and can save your home, and it must be installed at every structure that uses gas. There are models available to fit standard gas meters and propane tanks. Also consider stabilizing a stabilizing bracket to help reduce accidental shutoffs when someone bumps into the device. Other additions, we encourage you to secure anything that could fall before to the ground before the ground starts to move, such as anchoring tall furniture, TVs to the walls, use latches on cabinets and doors, artwork to be hung professionally, and using museum wax under statues, collectibles, and glass. Earthquake safety doesn't have to be complicated, but it is highly recommended to be done before an actual event occurs. Winter risk mitigation strategies. Our goal is to help you protect your home, especially if it's a location in a cold climate regions where losses are the leading cause of many property claims, particularly in large or seasonal residences. Let's walk through the key points. Frozen pipes are one of the most common and costly winter losses, particularly in unoccupied or partially heated homes. We recommend maintaining indoor temperatures above 55 degrees, using remote low temperature monitoring systems that are and installing pipes in attics, insulating pipes in attics, crawl spaces, and garages. For an additional layer of protection, heat tape can be applied to exposed or vulnerable plumbing. Again, reach out to your contractor and consult with them on what fits best for your property. Ice dam forms when heat escapes into the attic, causing snow on the roof to melt and freeze at the eaves. These ice traps, this ice trap, the water actually gets trapped and freezes and forces under the roof material, leading to interior water leaks. To prevent this, focus on proper attic insulation, ventilation, and the use of ice and water shield membranes along the roof's edge. This is crucial for both newly built and retrofits. Unoccupied vacant homes, such as mountain properties or secondary residence, benefit from installing smart water shutoff valves, temperature sensors, and leak detection systems that alert homeowners or property managers in real time. These systems can laterally prevent six-figure losses with a single alert or automatic shutoff. Basement flooding. During freeze-thaw cycles, it's another seasonal issue caused by poor drainage or rapid snowmelt. We advise ensuring proper grading around the foundation, maintaining sump pumps, connect to a backup battery and whole house generator, and sealing any foundation cracks. Another winter protection worth mentioning would be snow guards, especially on homes with metal, tile, or slate roofs. These roofs shed snow efficiently and sometimes too efficiently, causing sudden avalanches that can damage gutters, lower roofs, HVAC units, or even injure someone walking underneath. Snow guards are small devices attached in rows across the roof that hold the snow in place, allowing it to melt off gradually and safely. In many mountain regions, such as Lake Tahoe, Colorado, Utah, Vermont, snow guards are required by local code or HOA regulations for steep slopes. We recommend working with roofing contractors who can properly size and place snow retention systems based on the roof shape, snow load, and layouts. It's a small investment that can help prevent bigger problems. So together we build resiliently. Thank you so much for your time today and for the trust you placed in listening to what I have to share with you. Wildfire risk can be eliminated entirely, but there's a lot we can do together. By combining home hardening, defensible space, smart technologies, we can provide layers of protection that truly makes a difference. It is our goal here at Marsh MMA to continue to share resources connected with trusted solutions and help protect what matters most. Your home deserves not only to be rebuilt, but to be rebuilt to last. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. We're getting close to 2 o'clock. If everybody's okay, we might want to go a little longer if you guys could stay. If you cannot, this is being recorded and we'll be posting it on the Team Palisades YouTube channel and also on the website. And of course, we'll try to get to all the questions we can that were posted and then distribute them later on. So, Carol, we have a few questions. So I'm gonna let Carrie start off and then we'll take some raised hand too. So Carrie, do you wanna?
Of course. Hi, Carol. The
Okay.
first question is, what is Marsh's position with respect to IBHS rules for vegetation management?
Okay, so Marsh, okay, hold on for 1 sec. I need to take a quick sip right here. So March supports IBHS guidelines because they're based on a peer-reviewed science and data from leading wildfire experts, including the USDA Forest Services and CAL FIRE. Vegetation management is the cornerstone of resilience, and IBHS's defensible space zones provide a clear evidence-based framework. However, should a carrier require different distances or practices in this hard market, the insureds will need to comply to avoid cancellation or non-renewal of a policy. The insurance carriers often broaden defensible space requirements based on wildfire history and their own underwriting experience.
Okay, thank you. Another question we have is, how harmful are hedges in 5 feet side yard conditions, as all owners like to keep hedges?
Okay, with the hedges, this is a very common question that a lot of homeowners ask. So hedges within a 5-foot structure can be highly vulnerable because it creates a continuous fuel source right against or even within close proximity of any structure. Side yards where space is limited, this risk is magnified. Radiant heat and direct flame contact can quickly ignite the siding, the window frames, door frames, and even the eaves. While many owners prefer to keep hedges for privacy, we recommend placing them with low-growing, irrigated, and fire-resistant species. Or at a minimum, keep them well-pruned, separated from the wall, and free of any debris, dead materials. So absolutely no combustible types of mulch within the zone. Plant no high resin oil species, as I mentioned in the earlier slides. Stone walls, masonry planters, or decorative gravel would be fine. Metal trellis screens can be paired with non-combustible materials for a greener look without dense fuel. And low-growing fire-resistant plants 2 to 3 feet beyond the exterior walls, like boxwood, manzanera, emerald carpet, lavender, and Santolina would be considered, but please talk to your landscaper about these and do more research online when it comes to hedges or any other types of vegetation that you're considering.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
The third question we received is, will insurance companies have predetermined requirements for insurability and extreme fire risk severity zones going forward?
Okay, so yeah, the truth behind this question is yes, insurance company carriers are increasingly defining explicit underwriting criterias for properties in the wildland urban interface or properties near that area. Um, and uh, how they determine that is really the risk mapping. Instead of a zip code level, they're now looking at the parcel level wildfire risk models that determine whether a property is insurable or not. Construction mitigation standards, home hardening and defensible space, as discussed in this presentation. Um, Premium tied into compliance. Compliance with the insurance carriers require places you look forward to continue coverage. Non-compliance may lead to cancellation or non-renewal. The insurance industry changes constantly due to the wildfire events that have occurred. So this is a continuous change. It's not, we can't really predict anything of what's going to happen within the industry, but to do our best to harden our homes and create that defensible space.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thank you. The fourth question we have received is, I would love to hear about the relative toxicity of the building materials and what are the healthiest options for future inhabitants of the fire resilient home.
Okay, so again, always do your research, always talk to your contractor and your architect about different ways of working along those guidelines of reducing toxicity within your community. So when building a fire resistant home, it's important to consider not just fire resistance, but also the potential of toxicity materials such as vinyl, as I mentioned, plastic. If you want to go on a cheaper scale and say, oh, I'll get vinyl, frames for the windows, no, please don't. Anywhere around your house, eliminate the vinyl. Also, pressured treated wood and some foams can emit dense smoke and toxic gases when ignited. So those are things that you need to kind of turn your back to. But again, do some more research on that. Healthier choices with low toxicities would be alternatives including concrete such as RSG3D, Nile built, and ICF. Fiber cement siding if you're going with stick frame or even metal frame. Masonry, stucco, metal, concrete, roofing, and decks. Mineral wood or cellulose insulations. Pairing these materials together will create I'm sorry, a more resilient home, reducing those toxins in the environment.
Okay, great, thanks. The fifth question we received, tips for insurance proofing so the house is insurable.
Well, yeah, so home hardening and defensible space is key. I mean, everything that we discussed in this presentation could possibly help you have your foot in the door to be insurable with insurance companies. Insurance companies really want to see clients that provide everything, like the fire alarm certificate to make sure that your alarm system is activated, the flame and resistant vents, the home hardening that we talked about, the roof material, the siding, the defensible space. So they all, if your agent, if you can provide that upfront with your agent, your application would be more desirable than the others that have to go back and forth, if that's helpful.
It is. And I think I'm going to hand the next few questions over to May.
Okay.
Hey, hi, Carol.
Hi
We
there.
also
Hi,
have,
May.
hi, we also have few raised hands, but I'm going to try to get through these questions quickly. Okay, so somebody would like to know specifically if they will be provided coverage and what's required. What can we ask our builders to ensure they're building for best coverage?
Okay, the industry, well, the insurance industry today is unpredictable and it's a tough market as we all have experienced. Admitted insurance carriers have pulled out of California, as we all know, because of the prior wildfire event losses that had occurred. The E&S markets are now pulling in, as we have seen. So, however, the truth is they are limited and the underwriters are looking to write the best possible risks, meaning more resilient homes. Therefore, it is essential to understand what it is that you are building for your future. Building with resilience, using materials that are fire resistant, and creating defensible space around your property should be a #1 priority at this time. Building a resilient home will not only protect your property and your family, but it will truly give you peace of mind and lessen any risks of losing your home during a wildfire event. So again, as I mentioned before, the requirements, you'd have less requirements if you did harden your home and provide the underwriters with the proper defensible space to show them that as long as you're doing your due diligence, those requirements won't be as I guess attacking as a lot of people would say. So
This next question actually is very interesting. So what's the risk to your home if your neighbors don't consider the risk, if they don't harden their homes?
yeah.
And this relates to another question that was asked online. Somebody's HOA architectural committee does not believe in fire hardening design. So is there any specific guidelines that Marsh has that they're willing to share?
No, it's within the I mean, yes, but no. The HOAs, they have their mindset on what it is that they want for their own community. So we are taking action on developing new relationships with HOAs to walk in and really explain the whys, because a lot of HOAs don't really know how many people are suffering through not becoming insured. And it's really important for them to understand having defensible space. It might be costly, but making sure that they maintain that would be very protective long term. So, this is a sensitive topic and a good question. Even if the home is fully fire hardened, wildfire risks is strongly influenced by neighboring properties, right? Just like what happened in Palisades and Altadena. So embers, flames, and combustible materials from nearby homes or vegetation can be a threat to your property. In extreme fire conditions, like the conflagration that effect occurred, where multiple structures burned from one and then they jumped to the other and the other, it just produced really intense heat. Now, just going and meeting with different companies of resiliency building and materials, they did mention that, hey, if there's like 2 or 3 homes that comply and they're, based on having a hardened home and the proper defensible space, it becomes a shield on one side of the other properties kind of around their home. But it's not going to guarantee that those homes, if they're not resilient enough, that they're not going to burn down because of this one home standing. So you would see you would look at an aerial view and say, oh my God, look at that house and look at all the other houses that burned down around it. Well, they took the proper steps to have the defensible space, which other neighboring homes could have done the same. And I know it's a pain in the butt because I wouldn't want to go out there and keep doing all of this mitigation around my house because if a fire's not coming, I would get lazy. And that's me. I'm talking for myself. I would get lazy and say, oh, I don't have to pick that up right now. But, just taking action and making sure that, especially during the hot seasons, when you know that a fire could break out at any time, that's when people should be mindful by clearing a lot of stuff, mowing their lawns, and keeping the vegetation as clean as possible with no dead or dry debris around the property.
And then the next question is, what will happen to oak trees in close proximity to a house or coming through a deck? Up to now, we're not allowed to trim or remove oak trees.
Right. So many native oak trees in California are legally protected. A lot of us know that, some of us may not. So I understand that you can't trim trees and remove them. There is a certain percentage that they allow, maybe 10% of that oak tree. And it's not that you can't remove it, but if it does become a fire hazard, you just need to contact your local city, and understand what their ordinances are and what their guidelines are of tree removal in those areas. I went up to Napa and they had a whole slope of oak trees, and the crowns were so close, but they did get approval on removing those trees. So if you do your due diligence and contact the right people and get their feedback on prevention, that's great. But understand that the good news is that oak trees are somewhat or moderately, I should say, are fire resistant due to their thick bark. The only problem is that we all know that when there's a gush of wind, you've got this heap of leaves, oak leaves on the ground, which is ladder fuel. And that's something that you definitely want to clear out at all times. So oak trees aren't the imposter, it's not something bad to have, as they are good protective barriers around the perimeter of your house. So yeah, removing them wouldn't be necessarily 100%, but if a carrier is saying, well, you need 100 feet away in your neighborhoods, there's not 100 feet, right? But if you do have a property up in the hills and there's 100 feet of oak trees that are back to back, and those are things that you want to consider kind of spreading, like thinning out the crowns to prevent from one crown jumping to another.
And next question, have insurance companies stated that this will help get new policy? Are there homes from the fire that survived because of these parameters?
Um, I mean, building a more resilient home by incorporating fire resistant materials and creating defensible space will improve your chances for sure securing insurance in today's challenging market. Insurance carriers operate on a risk-based model, as I mentioned before, and a home that has been hardened with good defensible space to resist embers and flames would lower the risk. So having, everything on your application, providing whatever the agent is asking for, saying, well, I need this document and I need that. If you come up front with all of this, and I know 'cause sometimes it's a nuance, but the reality is that the more you give an underwriter, the more the underwriter will have to do less work and can bypass going back and forth and putting someone else's application in front of you that did all of that. So you'd have a better chance of getting a yes rather than a no. So,
Thank you. And then, so the next question, and we have a few more online too.
okay.
Okay, so there was a question earlier about the difference between timber frame versus steel framing.
Okay, so when it comes to framing, the main differences are like wood framing, stick homes can be more prone to long-term issues like moisture, rot, mold, or termites, right? Whereas steel framing avoids those problems, but still needs to be properly protected against rust and corrosion, especially near the coastal areas. From a wildfire perspective, these types of framings matters less, believe it or not. The true wildfire resilience is really what's on the outside, all the material, all the materials that are built from the walls in to out and what's on top of the roof. So, steel frame can also melt, wood frame can burn.
Right. So it's really up to maintenance. Everything's up to maintenance.
Oh yeah, everything, everything.
And then, so we have a question about what kind of mulch and compost is fire resistant? Is there anything that's fire resistant?
When it comes to an organic material, like wood or gorilla hair or they're looking at tire mulch, it's rubber. No, all of that will burn. I mean, if you put a fire to it, if you look at wood mulch or even compost, they have compost mulch and it's really low rated when it comes to fires. But when it starts to dry out at the top, you have all of that organic material that's dead. It's almost like falling leaves. So there's a higher chance of maintenance by making sure that your landscaper weeds through it and puts new mulch on top. And those maintenance aren't necessarily guaranteed at every single home. And that's the reason why the insurance industry is so strict on that kind of woody plastic, rubber, straw kind of mulch. So there's a lot of you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you can go into the uh, the ground covering department where they have pebble mulch. They got rock mulch there and it comes in different colors. You can get brown to match to make it look like there's wood mulch there, or you can get a darker color like black where it pops out the green and it makes the home just gorgeous. So there's a lot of rock mulch, uh, decomposed granite, bare mineral soil, regular soil, that is mostly dirt. And there's also river rocks. So there's a lot of other alternatives that people should really consider, and it will make their home beautiful, as opposed to using that the highly combustible mulch around the perimeter of their home.
And then we're going to do one more question and then we'll go to Reza. How do you prevent smoke from entering your home in wildfire?
Smoke?
Yeah,
Smoke?
yeah,
Well, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, homeowners have to be very mindful to make sure that all of their windows are shut. If they have a window that, pardon me, my throat.
sorry. I
No,
know.
it's okay. I caught a cold last night, so I'm trying to
Oh,
I'm trying to overcome this. Yeah. So,
sorry, Carol.
no, that's okay. So let's say if a door frame is kind of loose, on the side and there's gaps and openings. Always remember that any types of gaps and openings that are there, that would be the best chances of preventing smoke from penetrating through. Now, when it comes to vents, that's hard to tell. I mean, some vents do have little shafts that you can actually close on the opposite side. And I mean, smoke can penetrate through the chimneys, I mean,
Right.
it's really not preventable, but there is, if there is ever smoke damage in your house, we do have a vendor that actually goes in there and removes it with this biodegradable, I guess, cleaning solution. And your house, when you walk in, you're going to smell something that you never smelled before. And it's going to be because they eliminated all the pet odors, all the food odors, and just the odors that you're used to in your house. But it does eliminate the smoke odors. But it's not 100%. So I can't, I mean, avoiding smoke from penetrating through, it's hard because there's crevices all over the property, unless you
Right.
have something that is completely sealed off and it's a ventless home.
So Reza's been very patient, so we're going to ask Reza to unmute. Reza, are you still on?
Oh, I can unmute. Cool.
Yeah. So Reza, ask your question, please.
Well, first, thank you so much for your presentation. As a local and a builder in the Palisades, a lot of what you said was like so spot on and so great. So thank you for that.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
so really, insurance is definitely not my field. And I liked what you said about something. So I have like three things I want to quit, but I think it'll be beneficial. Number one was you mentioned like to help your insurance agent um, give you the best policy. You had said like give them like a certificate or proof of what you built, something like that. Does that really help? Like, because that would be a great thing for us as builders to make like a little portfolio for or a little binder of all the fire resistant features that we put into the home. So, or like even a zip file or Dropbox file that they can then provide to their agent. Is that something? Is that kind
Oh,
of what you
Rizzo,
mean?
that's like music to my ears. Yes, absolutely. Because of the fact that you're not the only contractor that had approached me about this. They were curious as to why I was on the premises, and they were saying, "Well, why are you looking at these things?" You know, and so I said, "Well, the reason being is because on the opposite side of construction, you know, people have to get insurance. And the underwriters, I focus more on the underwriting standpoint because they're the ones that actually make the grade on whether they want to insure the risk or not. So I told contractors, yes, if you can keep a portfolio on making sure that they have the proper heat sensors in mechanical rooms. And so far, everything that I've seen from contractors that I've visited homes in California have done a great job on that. Smoke detectors, let's see, automatic water shutoff devices, seismic shutoff valves, and then whatever materials that you are placing, like the roof material, if the underlayment is fire resistant, you know, if it's fire rated, the roofing that looks like uh, cedar shingles, but like from Brava, or you're familiar with that product, right?
Or
Brava
GAF,
shingles.
like GAF
Okay,
makes
right.
all of
So
GAF for California is Class A.
oh, nice. Yeah. So anything that's Class A and you provide that to your client, and your client says, "Ooh, I've got this," and they provide it to the agent, then the agent can actually complete their application with all of that information. And they can utilize that to get to the insurance company and say, "Hey, by the way, this client is doing this, this, and this, and here's proof." And that's going to be like, it's going to be an eye opener for a lot of the underwriters. So, I mean, if you could do that for us, meaning the community itself, that would be great.
Thank you. And so to, I mean, I'll take a little credit. I was in your second slide. That was a house that I built. So that,
Is that right? Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Okay.
And so
Wow.
that house had no interior smoke damage. The owner is so happy. Uh, because to your like the main problem like most people have is that they don't do maintenance on their home. So it's really important to check all your weather stripping every year. Check all the, especially like think of it this way, like think of it by seasonal. You do things seasonal. So, you know, on right before the fall, like right when the summer ends, like September 21st, you should check all the caulking, check all your whip screeds under your doors. You know, these are all the little things so that smoke and dust and ash can't penetrate your home. And so that was there was one little window because of the house next door that when it burned down, it just had a little, all the windows were dual pane and tempered. It had a little crack in it, and but the inside pane didn't break, and you could see how the smoke and the ash started to little by little seep in. But anyways, my point is that it's very maintenance is very important during
Yes.
your home ownership. But I pivot to the window question. A big argument we're having right now is what kind of windows you would help get get you an insurance. And then I'll just ask my third question because I've seen this on the IHBS website about standard and then standard plus. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? The standard, like if you like,
Yeah.
a lot of the insurance companies are saying, well, if you're able to adhere to IHBS standards plus, you'll get an insurance discount. Um, like one of those things that I'm trying to figure out is a lot of people aren't going to get enough insurance money to rebuild. They might only be able to do fiberglass windows. But we all know that aluminum or steel, I mean, steel is very expensive, but at least aluminum is more fire resistant than
Right,
fiberglass. So I don't, is that something that I
right.
can say, well, to the owner, if you're doing aluminum, you can potentially get a discount, or no, not necessarily?
No, no, because every single insurance company has their own discounts and guidelines. So it's really up to the client to get with their agent and discuss that with them so they can contact their own carrier. It's not a standard thing in the insurance industry. Every insurance company works differently. Excuse me.
Also, while
And,
Carol's taking
oh, go
it,
ahead.
Reza, we're gonna have IBHS on in the later
I saw
webinar, so
that,
we can
yeah.
ask that
Right.
question too. And so, Reza, do you have another question?
In general, okay, just how about in general, are there any things that, like, there's a house on Monument that had fire sprinklers, but it still burned down on the roof. Like in general, like if you did do the fire sprinklers, do you think most insurance companies would give you a discount, or it's just
No.
too hard to say?
No, not at this time because it's really up to, it's more of a maintenance concern. You know, if they have, let's say, their system wasn't even connected, or if they didn't have the proper maintenance and it malfunctioned and that house burned because it didn't work properly. So there's different factors played out, and the underwriters and the claims departments at the insurance companies look at it from that standpoint. So when in fact that there is a system that is guaranteed to make sure that they could spray that fire retardant, that their systems are completely filled to cover that area in that perimeter around their house, they may consider maybe a wildfire sublimit that could be, you know, increased if they're limiting that coverage for that client. But when it comes to a discount, not at this time.
So I think we're gonna do one last question and then we'll
Okay.
let you go, Carol. So there's a
Okay.
question about how often will insurer require roofs, plumbing and electrical to be replaced? Every 20 years? Or is there a standard?
Um, Well, yeah, no, there's not really, well, I don't know. Because I don't do underwriting in that sense, and every
Mm,
company is different on their guidelines. So again, definitely reach out to your agent to ask that question on what those guidelines are.
got it. So thank you so much. I know that we have gone 23 minutes over, but thank you, Carol. This has all been really useful. So everyone, like I said, this is all recorded and we'll send you the link afterwards, or just check back on Team Palisades YouTube and also Team Palisades' website. So Carol, I'll let you go now and have a great afternoon. Enjoy the rest
Thank
of
you
your
so
Sunday.
much. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Okay,
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.